In this section of transactional writing, we are discussing friendly letters. We have learned how important it is to use the correct style to convey this form of informal and friendly communication. In this part of the lesson, we are going to look at another form of friendly communication, emails. With the changes in technology today, people are far more likely to send emails rather than letters. But remember what we discussed about the content in friendly letters, as it still applies to emails. Now we're going to cover some other points about emails that you should be aware of. Okay, so let's look at email and the advantages it has over snail mail, commonly known as post. Emails are faster to send than normal mail. Emails cost a lot less to send than normal letters. Unlike telephone calls, emails can be read when it is convenient for the recipient. I'm sure most of you are familiar with email, but if you keep the following manners and tips in mind, you will be able to use email even more effectively. Don't type in capitals only. This is difficult to read, and in an email, this is the same as shouting. Don't send junk email. Before you start bombarding people with chain letters and jokes, check first if they want to receive them. Some people may not be interested in them, and you will be wasting time and money by sending them. Remember to personalize email. While sending the same email to different people is a convenient way to stay in touch, remember that your friends would appreciate a personalized email sent only to them. Use spell check. Using spell check will only take a few seconds, and it will make your email much easier to read. Reduce your online time. It costs money to stay online. So save money by connecting to receive your email, then disconnect to read your email and reply, then reconnect or go online to send your response. The whole idea behind email is to save time. As a result, people who are not speed typists have invented all sorts of abbreviations and smileys so that they can send messages more quickly. An abbreviation is a shortening or a representation of a word with part of the word. Have a look at the following example and see if you can figure out what is going on. BTWAFOAF recently introduced me to a MOTOS. He may become ASO, and then there's a big smiley at the end. Believe it or not, all of those abbreviations mean, by the way, a friend of a friend recently introduced me to a member of the opposite sex. He may become a significant other. I think that the example shows quite well that whilst emails can be efficient, it is important to consider your recipient. Just like when writing letters, if you don't think that your reader will understand, rather use the words that they are familiar with. Let's summarize what we have covered in this section. We have learned about email manners and tips. So, when sending an email, you should avoid wasting time by forwarding junk, and you should also make sure that your emails are personalized and can be understood. In this section on transactional writing, we are dealing with friendly letters. We have learned techniques to improve the way you write to friends and family. Let's now look at an example of an effective friendly letter and see why it works so well. This is an extract from a letter that a mother, Barbara, wrote to her daughters to give them advice on how to lead a better life. You will see that this letter is very effective because her advice is very applicable, and the way she gives it combines humor and wisdom. Let's look at how Barbara introduces her letter. She begins by saying, "Dear daughters, you are the cleverest, wittiest, most ravishing girls who ever lived, and a constant source of heart-stopping pride. The other day I started worrying. I've told them nothing. So I'm writing this guide." What a powerful introduction. I know that if I received a letter like that, I would definitely want to read on. Note how she uses really powerful compliments. Her daughters are probably not the cleverest, wittiest, most ravishing girls who ever lived, but the mother exaggerates to show them that to her they are beautiful and special, and she is proud of them. It is highly unlikely that the mother would have told her daughters nothing, but when she says, "I've told them nothing," she uses exaggeration and direct speech, here with the quote marks, to highlight that she really wants to give them some special advice. No teenager likes to be lectured to, so by including some humor, you can convey a serious message. Let's see how Barbara does it. She begins a section of her letter by offering quite serious advice. She writes, "Hope for everything, but expect nothing. Know that anything can go wrong, and mostly it does." Here, she juxtaposes different ideas. Juxtaposition is to place two contradictory ideas together. Let's see how Barbara uses juxtaposition and what its effect is. By telling them to hope for everything but expect nothing, she is encouraging her daughters to be optimistic and saying that things will turn out well. But at the same time, she's cautioning them and reminding them to be always prepared for the worst. She then takes this abstract idea and enforces it with an amusing example. You get your hair cut. You hope to look like Catherine Deneuve. You look like Danny DeVito. You think, "Ah!" Then you let it go. Hair grows back. I'm sure most of us have had the experience of going out and getting a haircut and it not turning out quite as we thought it would. Here, she gives the example of hoping your hair will look like that of Catherine Deneuve, a very elegant French actress, and instead ending up looking like Danny DeVito, a short, fat comic actor. The word "ah" works well here because it conveys the frustration. It is exactly the sort of sigh you might utter if you were really disappointed with something. But it keeps the tone light-hearted. Also, here Barbara is advising her daughters that in situations like these, a bad haircut may seem like a disaster, but it will grow out. In actual fact, most situations that are terrible at the time can be overcome, so her technique is effective. She gives serious advice using a comic example. Let's see what other advice she gives. This is how conversations should go. You ask about me, I ask about you. You tell a story, I tell a story. If someone says, "My cat has died," the correct response is not, "I don't have a cat." In a few short sentences, Barbara is summing up the good manners required for a conversation. Here she's trying to drive home the point to her daughters that a conversation is a two-way street. By saying, "You ask about me, I ask about you. You tell a story, I tell a story," she is deliberately creating a backwards and forwards image like watching tennis. To explain that is how polite conversations should go, with no one person dominating the conversation. She also manages to convey that it is important to show interest in what the other person has to say. As far as the bit about the cat goes, where she says, "If someone says my cat has died," the correct response is not, "I don't have a cat." I'm sure that Barbara doesn't think that her daughters would be so insensitive to someone who's just lost their pet. But by exaggerating and giving quite a humorous example, she's able to make the point that one should try to empathize with other people even if you have not had a similar experience. Barbara ends off her letter with the following advice to her daughters. The best advice I can offer is that you live in the present. You can learn from the past and plan for the future, but get pleasure from the moment and give the moment your all. In this conclusion, Barbara summarizes the advice she has given in the letter. Although it may seem abstract, her tone and style indicate that she is really advising them that now is the most important time and that they should make the most out of every moment. She then continues, "I don't think it will make you a better person, but it will make you happier and your lives richer. Your ever-loving mama." Here in her final sentence, Barbara gives her wishes for her children that they will go on to lead lives that are happy and rich. But because of her diction, her choice of other words, we know that she does not mean rich in terms of money. She means rich in terms of enjoyment and experience. And the way that she signs off her letter shows that she cares deeply for her children. So, we can see that what we've discussed in our lesson about style and diction applies just as well to this letter. I hope that after reading these extracts, you get some ideas of your own to write a letter to someone really special.